Testing, 1, 2, 3. Let me do a sound check real quick, y'all. Make sure it's good. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Let me do a sound check real quick, y'all. Testing, 1, 2, 3. It's good. We all good. We all good. Hey, you starting? Yeah, I'm starting. Ingle Boxing News, Intangible Boxing News. Yeah, I'm starting, man. Get on here. I put the link in the chat. You can get on. I want to talk about Floyd Mayweather, Evander Holyfield, and Benard Hopkins. Who you think had the better career? Let me send the link out real quick. I got the link in the chat, but I want to send a link out to more people. Hey, Intangibles, send the link out, man. We'll tell some other people that they want to join this conversation. This gonna be a good conversation. Intangibles, can you hear me? I'm trying to do a sound check. I hope the sound is good for everybody. Let me see something. Let me see. Yeah, man, we're gonna talk about Hopkins, Floyd Mayweather. Who else I got? Oh yeah, Evander Holyfield. You know, who y'all think had the better career? Why is this not? Let me see. Let me see something real quick. Hold on, real quick. Okay, I'm right there. Why I'm not here? Y'all see the link in the chat? The link is in the chat, y'all. I'm gonna put it on there again. There go the link. Hit that link, Intangible Boxing News. Hit that link. Come on over here and tell me what you think, man. Who you got? Hit that link. So, who y'all got, man, is the better career? I'm leaning towards Evander Holyfield. Because Evander Holyfield, he was undisputed in 2 weight classes, as a cruiserweight and a heavyweight. So that's probably going to be tough to beat. Let me see. Let me see real quick. Trying to get more people to get in here, man, so we can have a good discussion, man. Let me see. Make a quick phone call real quick. See if I can get Hyplo up in here. I'm gonna mute this real quick, y'all. Get on up in here, man. Let me see. Intangible. Can you hear me pretty good? I don't know if you're still in here, but can you hear me pretty good? If so, hit that link, man. Hit the link and let's talk about this, man. Well, they all had pretty good careers, man. We all know Benard Hopkins had a long run at middleweight. He got the record for middleweight defenses. Carlos Monzon had it, and then um, Hagler got it from Carlos Monzon, and then um, Hopkins, broke Hagler's record. Hagler, people will say, well, I mean, with Hopkins, people will say there wasn't that many great, a great middleweights at the time because Roy Jones wasn't there. Gerald McCullough wasn't there. Who else? It's a lot of people that weren't, at middleweight when he started his reign. But hey, still, he didn't let anyone, dethrone him. I believe. I believe he. I believe he went what 6 years, 7 years as a middleweight champion. I just know Bernard Hopkins was a middleweight champion for a while. I just know he was there ruling for a while until he lost to Jermaine Taylor. Now the people he beat during his middleweight run, he beat Glenn Koff Johnson. I go Rollo. What's up, Rollo?
What up, beat out?
Can you hear me pretty good?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm doing the Floyd Mayweather, Vander Holyfield, Bernard Hopkins. Who you think had the better career? I mean, who, in your opinion? Because it's all opinionated anyway.
Uh-oh.
Uh
I
oh.
mean, shit, you talking about Holyfield being my favorite fighter of all time, so
Mm-hmm.
that ain't really like a I mean, you know what my answer gonna be.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to get some people on here because I want to see who got a conflicting. I got Holyfield because Holyfield was undisputed in two weight classes, and that's what I'm saying, that in that time of day that's kind of rare, for a guy to be undisputed in two weight classes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't remember nobody that Holyfield ever ducked. You know what
Right.
I'm
He
saying?
didn't miss many. Like, it's very rare that you can name a fight that he missed. Like, he should have fought this guy. I mean, I don't
Hmm.
think that there's that conversation ever came up with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, who like if you're thinking back in his career, can you remember any fight that anybody was like, well, why didn't he fight him?
Hmm.
I mean, maybe somebody could pull out Donovan Razor Rudder, maybe,
Hmm.
but I don't even know if their paths ever really lined up to fight, though. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But other than
Are you still there, Rollo? Rollo, you might have to come
my
out.
bad,
You might. Oh, okay. You there? You still there? Go ahead.
that alone lends me to believe that Evander Holyfield had a much better career than a lot of guys. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Just when you're able, for instance, just like another guy who was brought up in the same conversation, Miguel Cotto.
Hmm.
When you think about Miguel Cotto, who was the guy that you like? Cotto should have fought him, and he didn't. You can't really think of it.
Yeah, you really can't
You know
because
what I'm
you
saying?
fought. You fought just about. Shoot, he
Just
fought.
about
Shoot, he fought
everybody.
Mayweather, Pacquiao, Shane Mosley.
Canelo.
Yeah, Canelo. Yeah, yeah. He fought a lot of people, man. Yeah, you're right.
Shit. Sergio Martinez, you know what I'm saying? A
Sergio
guy you never
Martinez.
expect him to fight. So
Yes, sir.
that is
Finally caught Rollo on what? Uh-oh.
what
Yeah.
up, why?
What's up, boy?
Oh, I got some shit to send you soon, but anyway, let me go. Uh, so when you talk about like a guy like Miguel Cotto, we got to start adding that to guys' resume and be able to weigh it because when you say like if you just take a guy who's 20-0
Hmm.
And you know what I'm saying? You can attach the name to anybody you want to, but we're just gonna call him, for the sake of this conversation, Fighter A. Fighter A fought. He's 20-0, but he should fight this guy, and this guy, and this guy. Fighter B.
What's up? So Gutierrez, hit the link, man. Join the conversation. Go ahead, Rollo.
So you got another guy who's 15-5, but he fought all 5 of those guys that you want Fighter A to fight. That should outweigh the 20-0 than the 15-5. You know what I'm saying? Just, you know what I'm saying, like contrast to the records. But if this guy fought all the guys that you wanted the other guy to fight, that should outweigh the other motherfucker being 20-0 to me. I mean, to me, it seems like it's common sense, but some guys would argue another way. You know what I'm saying? They might have a point that maybe I don't see right now, but I don't see it no other way, you know?
Yeah, shoot, yeah, you right. Cotto fought everybody, man. So you say for you it's Evander Holyfield.
Absolutely.
And I love Evander Holyfield too.
And mainly for that reason.
So Rollo,
yes, sir.
Let me see if I'm following you. I hear the conversation on resume, and I'm just tapping on that one piece right quick. So what you're saying is Fighter A, he's 20-0, and he's fought 10 great people within the 20 fights. But Fighter A has fought 20 people as well, but he's 15 and he fought 20 great people, but he's 15-5. You're still saying that should outweigh the person that's 20-0, even if the guy just fought 15 guys that are great and lost 5. It still outweighs the guy who's 20-0 who only fought 10 good fights.
Pretty much.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So when you take into consideration like a guy like, let's say, for instance, a Miguel Cotto, yeah, he lost to a few guys, but he lost to some guys that we would have liked another motherfucker to have fought. So how can I be judged begrudgingly for doing something that another motherfucker should have done but didn't? You know what I'm saying? You can't get credit because you didn't lose to a motherfucker that you didn't fight, but I get knocked for losing to a dude that you could have fought and should have fought. You understand what I'm saying?
The only problem with that is, and this is where
okay.
This is the only thing with that Fighter A. Fighter A has and usually is intelligent enough to make sure within his team that it's all of the 15-5 niggas that you're talking about. He makes sure that he has 10 of those guys on his list. Now, it's another 10 that he could have fought, but he makes sure that he has those guys on his resume that you're speaking about. Right? Mayweather is undefeated, and he fits that script of, motherfuckers just ain't seen a lot of fights from him. But however, in Cotto's sense, he actually fought Cotto. And let's say a nigga like Margarito who ran up on him and Cotto fought him, but the other nigga didn't fight him. When Margarito got caught with the hand wraps, it was a free space too. You see, it's a lot of moving parts because man's like, well, this guy went credible anyway. And he fought the other nigga who fought him too and who beat him. So it's like he covered his bases. If you do that, you're gonna give the appearance that you have everybody.
Right. To a degree.
Yep.
So let me give you an example. That same example that you gave me in a sense of, for instance, Riddick Bowe didn't fight Lennox Lewis, but he did beat the nigga who did fight Lennox Lewis. Now, that might be a harder argument based on the fact that it was a draw and a loss with Holyfield and Lewis, but that same argument would be used, let's just say, if it was a draw, and he's saying, well, I beat the nigga who had a draw with Lennox Lewis, so I could have beat that nigga too. Is that kind of almost the argument in the sense, like you cover your base because you fought the nigga who would have beat the nigga or fought the nigga though? Is that what you're saying?
I'm going with Mayweather and I have to do Mayweather. He's the most known and popular one, and it resonates. And I like your Cotto one because it resonates. If you do Bo and the rest of them, that's heavyweight. They couldn't go anywhere else. Cause see, then I have to ask you, well, shit, then which one of those weight classes that a nigga weaves through should he have sat down in to do that in? You see what I'm saying? It's hard to see. Should it have been at 130? Should it have been more at 135? Should it have been 147? Should it have went on and been 154? You see what I'm saying? So with Bo, it was a clear, okay, well, you beat the nigga who lost and drew with Lennox, but that person also beat you too. You know what I'm saying? It's too murky when you have people with losses. It's a little bit more clear. Like even with Bo, it's a little bit more clear. Even though we know he got Lennox and didn't want to fight him through the building trash can, we still know everything else outside of that. So it's easy to pinpoint the situation and scenarios. With the snake in the grass, the illusion is so weaving into niggas' mind that you can't. That was a hard one to beat. So I know what you're saying, but that was a hard one to beat.
No, I completely understand what you're saying, and I just want to make sure I'm following the logic. So, I'm gonna think of another scenario. Let's say like a guy like fuck, there's so many hard because it's so murky and shit. You know what I'm saying? It's so murky. You know.
Yo, I had hey man, what's up to everybody in here, man? Just want to drop in, man, and say shout out to your channel, man. Make sure anybody that listens to this video, man, make sure y'all subscribe, man, and all that other good shit, man. Look, I came in late and I see y'all talking about the Riddick Bowe versus Holyfield or whatnot, but like what I see on the screen is Floyd Mayweather Jr., Evander Holyfield, and Bernard Hopkins. Like, it all depends on what type of boxing fan you are and what are you looking for. Are you looking for just skill set and accomplishments? Are you looking for records, right? Because see that the fact that Floyd Mayweather is undefeated, that's very, very shiny. That's some extra shit. And it's something that most fighters, for the most part, can't say that they are, right? That they haven't finished their career undefeated. Even though I can name almost maybe 10, almost I can name like 10 fighters that he didn't fight. But however, Evander Holyfield, Bernard Hopkins, those are two fighters that have tons of quality wins, tons of accomplishments, and in some ways even more accomplishments than Floyd Mayweather Jr. And also, but they've lost a lot of times. But however, they've fought everyone and they've dominated in multiple divisions. But more importantly, they fought for a very long time. Like them niggas fought for a while. Like Holyfield and Benard fought for a very long time, right? And they still was very much so formidable opponents and became champions even in their old age. Whereas Floyd retired multiple times. But like I said, the fact that he's undefeated, and most boxing fans, the average boxing fan is not going to dig into that shit. Like they're not going to dig into Holyfield's resume like that or Bernard Hopkins. Like I think even though they have multiple losses and Floyd is undefeated, they still fought they had a higher degree of difficulty and they had the longevity. Whereas Floyd's retired, right? And he's been retired for a long time. But them niggas fought into their late, to their 40s, bro. Like they late 40s. So it all depends.
Yeah.
It all depends on what type of, what are you looking for? You know what I'm saying? Like some of them dudes they love the fact that Floyd is undefeated. And no matter what the next fighter do is not going to matter to them.
Right.
Because Floyd's undefeated, right?
And the dude will brag on that undefeatedness, but shit on that Joe Calzaghe. You know what I'm saying? Shit on Joe Calzaghe like he was 46-0 or 48-0, whatever the fuck his record was, right? But shit on that because he wasn't Floyd.
Right. Floyd got the money. Floyd's got the money, and he's got the undefeated record, and he's got the clout. So unfortunately, for a lot of other fighters like the Andre Wards out there and all other fighters who are also very much so accomplished, in that same era, they're not going to get the props that they deserve. So that's just how it is.
And Floyd only got the money because he fought at the right weight class. If that nigga was 160 pounds, he wouldn't have been shit. as far as the money goes. Or if he was 175 pounds, he wouldn't have been shit as far as the money goes. But because he was 147 pounds, it just so happens that there's been really only 3 weight classes that really have ever made major types of money. You know what I'm saying? Was heavyweight, welterweight, middleweight. You know what I'm saying? And middleweight, way less than welterweight and heavyweight. That's just what it is. It's just what it is. He got lucky on that point. You know what I mean?
So who you got for? So you saying it's going to be hard to beat Mayweather as far as a career, right? Is that your stance?
No, what mine? No, I'm saying the perception.
Okay.
No, well, no. When I'm saying Holyfield's like arguably my favorite fighter, right? Like,
Mhm.
like Holyfield, like he fought for a long time, but he's got multiple losses. In the way that, like most boxing, there's a rare amount of boxing fans like the way we are, like the way we think. Like it's a rarity. Like that when you ask the average motherfucker, hey man, you like boxing? They're gonna be like, yeah, but they're not gonna be able to fucking. They can't name 5 lightweights.
Mhm.
Like they don't, they'll just right, right. Don't get me wrong. That's what the boxing. I mean, that's what boxing want to do. They want to appeal to everybody, right? Get as many butts in the seats and also all the other good shit. But like I said, man, most boxing fans, like the average boxing fan, don't know what we know, right? So and they don't fuck with boxing like we fuck with it. So I just think that's. So they'll look at the Floyd Mayweather and they see him. He blinged out. He got all the money. He has all the clout. He's undefeated, right? He barely has been touched. That's the perception, right? But they don't know about Sugar Ray Robinson. They don't even know about Roy Jones like that. Like most people are like these youngsters, like they know Mike Tyson from his TV show, and maybe from his YouTube channel and smoking weed. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't know that nigga like that from like they couldn't tell you 5 fighters that he fought. It's just the way it is. So they go look at Floyd like he's God. They really think he the GOAT, you know?
Yeah, I know it's all opinionated. My opinion, I like Holyfield because he was undisputed in 2 weight classes. That's kind of rare, nowadays in this, pre post having one title to be undisputed. He was able to do it in that era, you know what I'm saying? He was able to do it at a cruiserweight, and then he was able to do it, at heavyweight. So he was able to kind of, separate himself from a lot of people, being able to do what he did. So and then Holyfield, like I said, I don't remember nobody saying Holyfield ducked anybody. Holyfield fought
Never,
everybody,
bro.
like
Never.
everybody. I mean, that
I have
dude.
I have him as the greatest cruiserweight of all time. Plus, he's one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. So, I mean, that dude, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not
That's
even
that's
close.
a that's a hell of an accomplishment there.
And he broke like Muhammad Ali's record. Or like, I don't know. I think he won the heavyweight championship like at 4 or 5 different occasions. Like he broke Muhammad Ali's
Mhm.
record. Like. In the heavyweight division, generally, they giants, bro. Like once one of them
Mm-hmm.
fall, the next man up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like look what they're trying to do. Wilder, like if Wilder lose, you think man, they're trying to like he's done, bro. Like he got to go to court. Like they trying to move on. It's over.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a hell of a just
Oh,
to even
introduce yourself. YMS Sports Media. It's my first time ever having you on here.
What's good, y'all? Jamil Parker, YSM Sports Media. This is a good topic. I feel like it all depends on what do you define as better, right? If your goal is to win every fight and to make the most money possible, then it's Floyd. If your goal is to not duck any smoke and fight the best while they're at their best, I would say Holyfield. If longevity, is your goal, I would say Hopkins. I would prefer Floyd's career, though, to be honest.
Well,
But
yeah.
that's just me.
If you was a guy,
that.
hold
Explain that.
on. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I told y'all, right? Didn't I tell y'all that?
Okay. Well, what do you like? For me, well, what do I want to box for? I want to win, and I want to make money. So
That's
it's
a great
hard to
point.
argue.
That's a great point.
It's hard to argue. It's hard to argue against like 50 like people critique Floyd's career. Like, I mean, like they go over it with a fine tooth comb. But he fought the best fighters in his era. He beat them, all of them. Like the guys that we want, the guys that people were like, oh, well, he didn't fight Margarito. Come on, man. Margarito, what he had, like 3 or 4 losses at the time? We wouldn't have gave him credit for that. The Paul Williams fight never aligned because Paul Williams ended up losing to, who was it, Quintana?
Yeah.
Is that the kid's name? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Quintana.
that fight never aligned. When he beat Manny Pacquiao, he was older than Manny Pacquiao. He beat Canelo, he was older than Canelo. We all know how Oscar De La Hoya and Sugar Shane Mosley really didn't want no smoke with him until he became the cash cow. Now, I don't think.
Well, you know the reason why. Hey, look.
What about Winky Wright, bro? Like, I can name a bunch of fighters.
Hey, hold on. Because you know what? You're making a good point. And look, it's all about preference. Because if I had a career, I want to win every fight, right? So that's me as been having my own career. But me as a fight fan, I want you to fight everybody at the right time. You know what I'm saying? That's my preference. Because look, I know people talk shit about De La Hoya. But De La Hoya fought people, and he fought a lot of people that came up with him in their prime. And what I say about De La Hoya is this: he could have waited until people got damage on them before he went in the ring and fought them, because De La Hoya was selling pay-per-views, you know what I'm saying? And at a young age, he was making a lot of money. So he didn't have to fight Tito Trinidad when he fought Tito Trinidad. They both was 26 years old. He didn't have to fight. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have to fight Shane Mosley. He didn't have to fight a lot of those, but he did it because you know why? Because he knew that he had to do it to become great. So it's not all about winning every fight, which I know everybody want to win every fight, and that's the goal, is to win every fight. But as a fight fan, I want Corte when he was undefeated. I want to see a guy challenge himself consistently to see how great he really is. That's
let me just say something real quick.
You saying Floyd didn't do that, or what?
No. I'm not saying Floyd didn't. I'm not saying Floyd didn't do that, but it's a lot of fights that happen with Floyd that I say happen a little bit too long in the tooth. You know what I'm saying?
Just so we don't
they happen a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Just so we don't have to bring this up again. Let me say one point real quick.
Go ahead.
I don't think there's a single fighter in the history of boxing who went into a fight outside of being paid or whatever the fuck y'all want to say. But 99.9% of boxers go into the fight with the intentions on winning. So I don't think that we have to make that a point. Like, that's kind of not a non-starter. Like, we don't have to make that a point. Nobody goes into the fight like, I hope I lose in the second round. You know?
No, Rollo.
No.
This is what happened. He was saying if it was his career, he's saying no, Rollo. I was trying to be different from a career and a fight fan, because he said if his career. I get what you're saying. I'm just saying as a career, as a fighter.
I'm saying that if any of us was fighters here, we wouldn't want to lose.
So nobody's thinking about, I want to lose this next fight, or I want to lose my next 3 fights. I'm just saying that as a point. So we don't have to make that as a point. Like,
but as fight fans, we're talking about,
we should go into the fight to win every fight. Like, we kind of know that. But as a competitor though, do you want to be a competitor in all of the guys in your era? Is more so the thing that we might be debating or questioning. Not that somebody wants to go in and win every fight. That's all.
No, what I was saying is, however you look at who is great, like what are you determining? Like, okay, I'm sitting here as a fan and as a journalist, and okay, well, do I want the guy that won the most fights? Do I want the guy that won every fight, made the most money, or the guy that I looked at as fought everybody when they were at their best? Like Holyfield, I would say Holyfield is the guy that everybody except Mike, that wasn't his fault because Mike got hurt. Mike got hurt and then caught the rape case, so that's not his fault. Somebody mentioned Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya never fought Winky.
Yeah, but Oscar De La Hoya fought a lot of people.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
but,
but he
but
fought more
somebody
than
mentioned
Floyd, bro. He fought more.
somebody
than
mentioned
everybody
Winky.
Hold on. Let me say
Somebody
something.
mentioned
I
Winky, and
mentioned
he never
Winky.
fought
I
Winky.
mentioned
Hold on.
Winky.
Yeah,
Hold
he
on. Let
never
me say
fought
something.
Winky.
I know he never fought Rinky. Now we understand this. We understand this in sports too, and especially boxing. You can't fight everybody. Okay, you can't fight everybody. You're not gonna get to everybody because you know what I'm saying. It's just not gonna happen because sometimes a fighter may lose or you may lose, and you know things don't line up. But what I'm gonna say is this: De La Hoya, for everything people say about that man fought a lot of people at the right time, and that's the bottom line. Now he didn't win every fight because to me, if you put great fighters in you know what I'm saying in matchups and they fight at the right time, I don't think nobody going undefeated. I don't. I
Right.
really.
Eventually, right.
Somebody gonna
Because
get
the margin of error is so
Gets
small,
smaller.
and everybody is a quality fighter. So if you slip up, you go get got, man. Like either way. But my whole point is this: another reason why I would take Holyfield, like y'all got to remember, Holyfield is one of the biggest money makers in the history of boxing. It's just the fact that he was very dumb with his money, but he made well over $100 million in his career, and that's something that most fighters can't say. So not only was he the greatest cruiserweight of all time, and also one of the top 5, the top 10 heavyweights of all time, and one of the most accomplished fighters, and he's broke records and shit like that. 4-time heavyweight champion and shit. He hold a record for that. Not only all that, he's also one of the biggest money generators, you know, in the history of boxing. So, but he was dumb, you know. He gets like $10 million.
Do you knock him for the steroids?
Yeah, the steroids. I mean, I'm not about to talk. I mean, do I knock him for the steroids?
Yeah. Do you knock him for the steroids?
I mean, listen, because somebody bringing up steroids, are we gonna knock Floyd for his therapeutic medical exemption for his fight with Pacquiao? Are we gonna knock him for that?
Are steroids an exemption?
I mean, it's the shit that Floyd. Look, I'm a fan of Floyd, but I mean, Floyd ain't fucking squeaky clean, bro.
No fighter is. But I just asked you a question about.
You talking in particular?
You gonna knock?
No, I don't hold it to him. I don't, because you know why? Because I have Canelo. He's like one of my top fighters pound for pound. I got him right under Bud Crawford, and he failed drug tests. My favorite baseball player all time is Barry Bonds. He failed. He didn't even fail one, but supposedly he's dirty.
Never failed a drug test.
Right, and he never admitted it neither, and they still don't want him or Roger Clemens. But you know they doing him real dirty though. They doing Barry real
Both
dirty. Right. But not just them two, but a few others. But Barry's the one though. Like you know. So but nah, man, yeah. Holy man, dog, he's the greatest cruiserweight ever. He was just to me. I would rather his career because I would have no stones unturned, bro. Like with Floyd, you can name as great as Floyd was, as skilled as he was, his career was very much panned out in a different way compared to Holyfield. Like, and plus the heavyweight division is just different. Period, man. That's Titans, bro. Like you could get caught with one good shot, you know, you out there, bro. So.
I tell everybody that the heavyweight division is the pinnacle of boxing, man. You know what I'm saying? They create these other divisions to keep them away from the heavyweights because they can't compete with the heavyweights. So that's why the heavyweight division is, to me, the pinnacle of the sport.
Think about it. Like all the greatest heavyweights, like all the greatest of all time, we've seen them all get dropped. All of them.
Oh yeah.
It's just a different thing. The heavyweight division is just different. Like we've seen every heavyweight get dropped. No matter I can't think of one. Even the ones with the great chins, they've all been dropped.
You're right.
You know,
I never thought about
you
that.
can't like at welterweight. In other words, at welterweight, Floyd could hit you or he might miss you with a shot, right? Remember, Madonna caught him at the end of the round, caught him with a good shot. Yeah, but Floyd didn't get dropped, right? And the heavyweight hit you with that shit, you drop. Like that's the difference right there. You know what I'm saying? Like you could slip up in those divisions. In the heavyweight division, you can't. Man. Like,
there's no slip ups. And even Lennox Lewis got knocked out twice. I mean, he avenged. He got knocked out by Oliver McCall and Hassan Rockman.
Right. And they weren't even on his level, right? See what I'm saying?
Whoever made that point, I never thought about that.
Hey, but one thing about Oliver McCall that y'all don't realize, Oliver McCall used to give every heavyweight, great work in the gym. You know, he was one of Tyson sparring partners for a long time. He used to be giving Tyson some work, like some work. They said he used to give Tyson work, even when Tyson was like kind of at his peak. He was giving Tyson work. You know what I'm saying? Oliver McCall never been knocked out to this day.
Right, and even in that rematch, right, with Lennox Lewis,
He
like
broke down because he was on drugs,
right,
man. I'm from
right.
Chicago. He from
They said
Chicago.
Don King. Is that true,
Everybody
bro?
know.
Go ahead, tell
Yeah.
the story. Like,
Okay,
because I think
so
Don
Oliver
King might
McCall,
have.
he from Chicago, and everybody know that he had a drug problem. Everybody know he was heavy on the drugs. What happened was this: they hurry up, rushed him into you know what I'm saying, action, because they knew he fell apart mentally in the ring. You seen it. You know what I'm saying? It was a disqualification, really, because he was crying in the ring, man. What fighter is crying in the ring like that, man? Come on. That man has some problems. Like, really, he has some demons, some serious demons.
And that's why to me, like, I don't know, like, I'm not trying to hate on Lennox getting his belt back, but I mean, that was a dirty win to me. You know, like, it was just the
Hey,
dude
but
had a
look,
nervous
if you
breakdown.
show up,
He didn't fight.
if you show up to the fight, hey, you know what I'm saying? Hey, he showed up into the ring, right?
Hey, yeah, you
But
can't blame
the brother
Lennox.
turned his
Can't
back
blame
and broke
Lennox.
down crying. He
Can't
turned his
blame
back like
Lennox.
you know.
Can't blame Lennox.
Hey, that's just like if a person sustained an injury in the ring or somebody coming into the fight injured. I mean, once you there, you there. I can't, you know what I'm saying? I
Right.
can't give you a pass. You're there. Like, look, Sergio Martinez
So
had
it don't matter that Don King pulled this dude from out of like the drug rehab just to make some money off him, and put him in the ring with Lennox Lewis, knowing that this dude was stable. Like, he get into the ring reluctantly, and he ain't even.
You remember
Yeah,
Sergio
but he
Martinez?
did that though because he beat Lennox Lewis first.
Right. But he had a crack breakdown between that time.
I mean, when are we gonna hold that man accountable? You know what
Well,
I'm
if it
saying?
was addiction, yeah, I'm not gonna run his
No,
name through the
yeah,
ground.
no, I'm talking
No,
about.
I'm just talking about the
not just
fight.
for his addiction,
I'm talking about the
but
fight,
like you
though.
said,
I'm talking
actually
about the
getting
fight.
in there. What? Well, he's right when he said once you get in there, you in there. You don't have to take the fight.
Yeah,
Once
that's
you
a
in there,
good
you in
point.
there, and whatever happens, happens. Just like with Deontay Wilder, it's like, bro, I don't want to hear about your team. I don't want to hear about what's going on with the inner workings or how don't you know if Tyson Fury is a dirty fighter? You're supposed to know.
What I'm
Once
saying
you in there,
is,
you in there.
all right, but look, keep in mind, McCall knocked Lennox the fuck out, and in the
Bet he
rematch,
did.
he had a crack breakdown in the rematch. So it's not like Lennox stopped him or something. You know, it was just, it ain't the same. Like,
What people got to realize is this: when you're training for a fight, all fighters come into the ring with something wrong with them, some knick-knack here and there, because that's where you sustain most of your damage is when you're training for your fight. You know what I'm saying? Because I used to fight, so I understand when you're going through a training camp and you're doing all these rounds of sparring. Like, for the first time I ever got into the ring, because I wanted to be, you want to be so prepared. Sometimes you may over spar, and I think I sparred too many rounds. Like, I was sparring a lot of rounds, and you have shoulder elements, you have your forearm hurting, your hands hurt, everything hurts. So I understand when fighters say that they don't go into the ring 100%. None of them do. None of them do. Like, it's a rare occasion. That's why you hear sometimes fighters will say, "Man, I sustained no injuries this training camp. I felt good," because they know how rare it is to even get through a training camp.
Especially the older you get. You hit them 30s, and it just changed. You know what I'm saying? You might feel that way in your early 20s, but when you hit about 29, it just starts changing on you. It does.
Yeah, just like Mayweather. Y'all know the reason why Mayweather, like, he was already training hard, but what made him train excessively is when he had that sparring match with Paul Spadafore, because Paul Spadafore was already training for a fight, so he was already in shape. Mayweather came into the gym and said, "Hey, look, I'll spar him." Yeah, because Paul Spadafore was talking mess to him, and Mayweather Senior told Mayweather, "Don't spar with him because you're not ready. He's already in fighting shape." And Mayweather was like, "Yeah, okay, I hear you, Pops," but he got in there, and Paul Spadafore took it to him. Now Mayweather was doing some good things, but you can see the difference in condition. After the sparring match, Mayweather was laid out on the canvas, and
You know
Paul
what?
Spadafore was ready to go for some more. So after that,
ooh,
Mayweather said
hold on, he knocked Floyd out.
No, he didn't knock Floyd out. What he did was they had the
He was
sparring match
exhausted at
grooming.
the end.
Oh, so he like fell out like
Yeah.
on the ground. He was spread
No,
out,
he was
tired.
laying
Yeah,
on the
Yeah,
ground,
yeah.
breathing.
tired.
It's on YouTube. You can go on YouTube and pull it up. It's on YouTube.
Yeah,
The
I
whole
saw
thing.
that, but I don't remember that part. I guess I didn't. But
Yeah,
now, don't
laid
don't
out.
they have don't they have like a history anyway from like the amateurs or some shit?
They probably do.
Yeah, I think they might have fought in the amateurs. I'm not sure about that, but I definitely seen that. But I don't remember seeing that last part at the end.
Yeah.
You
He
know?
was laid out on the canvas because he was dead tired, and he said from that day forward, he's never going to be caught slipping. Even when he don't have a fight, he gonna always be in shape, and that's why he was. That's one thing I can say about Floyd. He was always in shape, and people got to. These fighters got to understand, being in shape is the most important thing because a lesser fighter with more determination can beat talent when talent fail to be in shape.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact, right?
That's a fact.
Right. So as far as those three guys on the screen, Mayweather, Holyfield, and Bernard Hopkins, like what's the order? Like me personally, I have Holyfield first. Then I guess I don't know. I guess I have Floyd second and B Hop third. But I don't know, bro. Like I got Holyfield first, but like after that, I don't know, man. Like Hopkins got the longevity and he have the accomplishments and he fought everybody. And
I
I
got
agree
Holyfield.
with that. I
Go ahead.
personally have Evander Holyfield number 1, Mayweather 2, and 3 Hopkins. Hopkins had the edge in longevity, but I also think that there are a little bit better guys around and that Mayweather beat around his weight classes. I mean, Hopkins did beat Mercado for his first title, but he wasn't really a titleist. Holmes, pretty good fighter, but he doesn't necessarily quite stack up to like the Mosleys and the Cottos of the world. Floyd beat Oscar, so did Bernard Hopkins. I personally favor Mayweather to him, but I think Evander Holyfield is the number 1.
Yeah, definitely. And I know earlier, or what you just said, you said something about the Shane Mosley and Cotto when Floyd fought him. Like, well, I mean, Shane was like, well, yeah, he was coming off of his victory over Margarito, right? So yeah. So I guess I'll go ahead and rate that Shane Mosley victory pretty big. Shane still was old, but it still don't matter because he just gave arguably his best performance by beating Margarito, like because he stopped him. He dropped him like nobody.
Yeah.
Dropped him.
Shane obviously wasn't in his prime. He didn't have the stamina as kind of.
Yeah, but he looked like that was like he looked great in that victory over Margarito. So that's when Floyd fought him when he was coming off of that victory. So he was a champion. So yeah. Right, but
So
I would like to see him fight Cotto at 147 instead of 154, though. But,
So let me ask this question. So is this question really like the better legacy? Like, right? Really, the question should have been who had the better legacy, correct?
No. It's not. It's not.
That's what I was wondering.
It's not about the better legacy.
I thought it was like everything bottled up, right? Like everything.
What's the difference? You saying who had a better career? Who had
better legacy? I mean, you can say legacy. You can say legacy.
No. Listen, I'm asking you.
No, you can. You can.
This is your conversation. And
what do you go by, Wayne? Like,
look, you can categorize it to the better legacy. Yeah, who had the better legacy between these three fighters? I got Evander Holyfield.
So y'all don't incorporate skills or nothing else, like, or is it just like or is it just?
Well, what you did in the ring. I mean, look, your skills is capitulated on what you did in the ring, right? So you have to have a certain amount of skill to even get to this legacy claim to have this great legacy. So obviously, all three of them had skill. Now you can say somebody did something better than the other. Yeah, you could say that, but they all had skill in their own way, and then within their skills, they were able to attain what they obtained, which was greatness. All three of them attained greatness.
Here's my problem with comparing skills between these guys: the difference in dynamics and skill set and speed and all that type of stuff between a welterweight like Floyd Mayweather and a heavyweight cruiserweight like Evander Holyfield is pretty significant. It's pretty discernible. I find it really hard to be able to compare these guys skill for skill in terms of assessing who's the better fighter all time.
It is very different. I would agree. It's kind of like
everything, accomplishment, skills, all that shit at once.
It is different, even though they're doing the same sport. But a guy at 140 pounds, he's gonna look a lot different than a guy who's 240 pounds doing what he does. You know what I'm saying? So it is hard to. I mean, you could
I disagree with what that dude said. What the guy just said, the last guy. I think his name's Haplo or whatever. I disagree with him what he said in a sense because no matter what your dimensions is, whether you're a tall guy or a short guy, you fought out this division.
That wasn't me. That was
No, that
that
wasn't
was someone else.
Okay, my bad. But whatever guy said, it is hard to gauge. As far as boxing skills, I mean, you throw a technical wise, you throw a jab a certain type of way, you throw your hook a certain type of way. So like all those guys were technically skilled, but there are levels to that shit. I mean, some people consider Floyd the most technically gifted fighter of all time.
I know what you're saying. Listen,
right?
Check this
Me
out,
personally,
check this out, bro.
Go, bro. Go ahead.
So like when you take a guy like let's just say like a Vasil Lomachenko. And if you just watch him in the ring, it won't look nothing like a Tyson Fury. You know what I'm saying? But you might technically say that Tyson Fury is head and shoulders above the rest of his competition. And Vasil Lomachenko might be the same way, but it won't quite look the same. So how do you distinguish the difference between how good technically that Lomachenko is over Vasily Lomachenko or vice versa?
Well, because I think for the most part, when you think about technical skills, it's a certain like standard operating procedure protocol that all the boxers abide by. They all kind of taught how to fight a certain kind of way. Don't get me wrong.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that real quick? There was some noise. Just can you repeat that real quick?
No, I said that I think when it comes to like boxing skills, for the most part, every fighter has their own. I mean, every fighter may have their own style, but there's a certain level of basic technical skills and the way everybody's taught, like a standard operating procedure and protocol that every fighter has to abide by. And then some, you know what I'm saying? But it's just like the video game Street Fighter. Everybody's got their own type of style, right?
Yep.
Right, but when you press a certain button, they're going to throw a certain type of punch, right? And that's supposed to be a jab. It's supposed to be a light punch. It's supposed to be a strong punch. So it's like that. But like I said, like you said, Fury and Lomachenko, they're both skilled fighters in their own way. I'm not saying that one may be more skilled than the other, right? But like I said, and I've both seen both of them make technical mistakes, right? And I've seen them pay for it and get dropped for it. But like I said, I mean, they both are good technical skill fighters. My whole point was Floyd Mayweather, Holyfield, and B-Hop, the three fighters we were talking about, they're all technically skilled fighters. They all are like, I mean, very good technically skilled. So I said, I put that into the when I'm trying to figure out who the best, who has the most accomplishment, who's got the most best, who has the, their fighting styles, how effective they were, longevity. And plus, like the money and all that other shit, like the other guy talked about earlier, like since y'all want to talk about money, that's what I said. Holyfield check off the whole checklist, bro. Like everything.
Yeah.
Hey, bro. Wait. I said, wait. I'm having a hard time with this. Can somebody tell me where do you rank Evander Holyfield all time? Because for me, him even being in this conversation with the other two fighters, I think is borderline ridiculous. He's not in their class. He's not.
Why?
In those
Hold on. Let me speak. Hold on. You said Evander Holyfield is not in their class.
Is Evander Holyfield in your top 20, top 10?
Oh hell, yes. Evander Holyfield is in my top 20 of greatest fighters of all times. You understand?
Really?
Like pound for pound, he's on that list too.
Let me say this.
My bad, Wayne. My bad. Do you think, bro?
Understand that Evander Holyfield was undisputed in two weight classes. You understand that, right?
Yeah.
I hope you. Okay. He beat Mike Tyson. He beat Larry Holmes.
He beat Mike Tyson win. He beat Mike Tyson win. See,
twice.
A lot of times
when Mike was still in his 20s, Mike was still in his 20s.
Hey, let me have this.
I asked you when. I asked you when. Answer that. When did you beat Mike?
It doesn't matter when he beat him. He beat him.
So wait.
Mike was young, bro. Mike was still young.
1996 November.
Yo, can y'all stop?
1996.
Can y'all stop?
Hold on. Evander Holyfield was older than Mike Tyson. You understand that too, right? When they fought.
I said, can y'all stop? Can y'all stop for 1 second?
He beat him after he got out of prison.
He beat him after he got out of prison. So
it doesn't. Hold on. Let me ask you a question. Hold on.
I can't even get my question off to you. Go ahead.
Because you asked me a question. Now, can I give you one? You gave me one. I answered. Now, was Tyson able to regain a piece of the heavyweight title after he got out of prison? Yes or no?
Yes, he was.
Okay, so what are we saying? So are we saying that he didn't beat a great Mike Tyson, or are you just saying that Mike Tyson was just okay, or what are you trying to say?
He didn't beat a great Mike Tyson. You know that. I know that.
I don't know that. I don't know that.
See, we go over Floyd Mayweather, and mind you, I'm not really a Floyd fan, but we go over Floyd Mayweather's resume with a fine-tooth comb. Somebody said, "Oh yeah, I would like to see him fight Cotto at 147." Yeah, I would have liked to see Holyfield versus Mike before he got stopped and went to jail. Are we gonna hang that over his head too?
Okay, hold on.
We be picking and choosing.
Hold on,
Hold on, y'all. Hold on.
He went at me. Okay, go.
Holyfield was older than Mike Tyson, and I'm gonna tell you that Holyfield took more punishment at that point versus Mike Tyson, because Holyfield had those 3 wars with Riddick Bowe before he fought Tyson. So he was in a lot of wars with Dwight
Foreman.
Ali. He had a lot of wars. Holyfield was known for being in wars. So you can't just say, I can tell you that Tyson didn't fight the best Holyfield. So I can come back and tell you that. So to me, it's even. No, it's even then, man. It's an even scenario.
And not just that, Mike had a chance to get him back. They had a rematch. And not just that, Mike was in his 20s when they first fought. Mike was in his 20s when they fought. So it's not like he was. And Cotto was in his 30s when he fought Floyd.
Y'all said the best fighting the best when they were the best. Was Mike Tyson at his best at that time? Yes or no?
Was Holyfield at his best?
No. But can you guys hear me?
No. Was he not considered one of the best heavyweights?
It's even. If
we can hear you, Haplo.
They both with less versions of themselves. It has to be even at that point if they're both less versions of themselves. It's even. It's an even match. It's not like one was. It's not like one was really, really fresh and the other one was beat the hell. They both was beat the hell, really, if you want to be honest with you.
Right. In other words, Mike already had lost to Buster Douglas, but what I'm saying is Holyfield had lost already too. Like there's
that only applies to a 25-year-old waiting for a 38-year-old nigga to get older. That only applies there. So you can't be like a 25-year-old nigga was waiting for a 23-year-old nigga to get old. That don't work. That shit don't work, bro.
I mean, I get what you're trying to say.
No, I don't.
No. I'm talking about, I get what he's trying to do, but it doesn't work in this scenario because Rollo just told you the reason why I don't work in this scenario. Now, in another scenario with somebody like Rollo said, 20 and 30 and 38, 39, 40, or somewhere up in there years old, and the 20-year-old caught the other one on his way all the way down and beat him, I could understand. But these two guys,
brother, can I say something right quick?
It's simple.
It's the same point of their careers, though. These two guys were at the same point of their careers. That's what I'm telling you.
What I'm saying is Holyfield was more worn down.
The Riddick Bowe win was a great win. The Riddick Bowe win was a great win.
Riddick Bowe also knocked him out too. Riddick Bowe also knocked him out. You know that, right? He knocked him out.
I know. I said that was a great. I said
sure, but that shouldn't take away from the achievement of him beating him as well.
Look, man, he beat Mike Tyson.
But we do it to Floyd, don't we?
No, I'm not doing that to Floyd. Look, okay, now let's go to Floyd.
Hold on, wait, but before y'all go to Floyd, let's keep in mind something, bro. Like this is very simple. Like it ain't that hard, bro. Evander Holyfield was more worn down or shop worn than Mike. How many wars had Mike been in by that time? He only fought the Buster Douglas. Besides that, what other war he's been in?
He was in a war with what's the name too? That one dude.
Razor Ruddock.
Razor Ruddock.
Okay, Razor Ruddock. Okay. Do you realize what? Right. Do you realize what Holyfield has? Like Holyfield had way more, bro.
I know. Holyfield had way more wear and tear.
And not just that. And not just that. Mike Tyson was what? Mike Tyson was when he fought Holyfield the first time. Mike was like 27 or 28, bro. Like he wasn't even old, bro.
All I asked you was Mike at his best. Was Mike at his best?
No, he wasn't at his best.
You mean when he was like 19 or 20?
Holyfield at his best. Was Holyfield at his best? Okay, then, but it's even. It's even. That's a crazy argument.
I don't know why you're arguing this shit.
First off, my nigga,
it's not even, bro. Holyfield was more worn down, and he was older. It's not even.
Y'all not even listening to what I'm saying, my man. Not you, but all the way in the back. Relax. What I'm saying to you is that we criticize wins and we say, okay, oh, was this guy at his best? Was that guy at his best? Was this guy in his prime? Was that guy in his prime? With Floyd, we do that over a fine-tooth comb. But when it comes to other fighters, we do not have that same energy. If we go back and
can I answer that? Can I answer that? Okay, so this is my thing right here. When you have two fighters and one fighter did not have any wars, the guy is still at his best, and then you have another fighter that had wars and older, and the younger guy that's fresh fights him and beats him. I can say, well, that older guy wasn't at his best. He obviously wasn't at his best. He was older. He's been through a lot of wars. When you have two fighters that been through wars and their trials and tribulations, and we understand that these guys are not out their best, they fought each other at the same peak, you know what I'm saying, at the same downfall or of being worn down. So I'm not going to say that Holyfield caught Mike Tyson when Mike Tyson was worn down, because Holyfield was much more worn down than Tyson, because Holyfield at that point in his career had two fights with Lennox Lewis. One of them was a grueling fight. He was taking a lot of punches from Lennox Lewis. He fought Dwight McCauley and had a war. He had 3 wars with Riddick Bowe, which took a lot out of his career. That took him that took a lot out of him. George Foreman. He had a lot of fights that took a lot out of his career. Now, Mike Tyson, no, it wasn't Mike Tyson of the early 80s, but it wasn't the Holyfield of the early 80s either, though. That's
so my man keeps saying that we talk about retracting opponents from Mayweather, but I don't think that anybody said any of that today. Like, that might be an argument to have, but it ain't an argument to have with nobody on this panel.
They said in our quote, I would have liked to see him against Miguel Cotto at 147, right?
I would like to see him fight Winky Ray too. Like, that don't mean that Floyd. Hold up, that don't mean that Floyd was ducking. I'm talking about the fights when Floyd decided to fight Cotto. They fought at 154. I would love to see that fight when they were younger. That don't mean that I'm dissing Floyd. There's no Floyd Mayweather haters on this panel, at least from what I feel. Like,
right.
I don't.
That
like,
right. It's not
but he ain't above Holyfield like resume. Like he ain't over Holyfield.
He didn't say I wanted to see a 24-year-old Mayweather versus a 32-year-old Cotto. No, he said he would have liked to see him fight at welterweight. That only means
why you even bringing it up? Do you give him full credit for that win? Yes or no?
Absolutely. Everybody
does. No, not you.
Everybody
not you.
Does.
My man that said it. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Everybody
at 154. Why would I? Yeah. Cotto was a champion. Cotto was a champion.
You brought it up.
I wanted to see.
Like it was a knot.
I brought it up like it was a what?
Like it was a knot. That's how it came off.
You took it the wrong way. You took it the wrong way.
Like it was a knot. Nah, man. I would have liked to see him fight Winky Ray. I wanted to see Oscar fought Winky Ray. If he did, I didn't see it. I don't remember him fighting him. You know how many fighters I can name that Floyd didn't fight or Oscar, man? Dog, there was way more fighters. It was just different back then.
Paul Williams.
Yeah, right. I mean, come on, man. Like that's not me dissing Floyd. I'm just saying.
Stop.
Yeah.
Stop. Go ahead and name the list, bro.
What, the fighters that Floyd didn't fight?
Yeah, that you wanted to see him fight.
Oh, but just like I was serious. Like, I wanted to see him fight Vernon Forrest. I wanted to see him fight Winky Wright. Pretty much. Then when he was at 140. Wait, what's the left-handed cat? He was from the Dominican Republic. He was real good. Timothy Bradley.
Casamaro?
Yeah, Timothy Bradley retired from him. Yeah, right.
He's Cuban.
Right. Okay, my bad. Okay, but I mean, I'm just going off of the top of it. But if I go back and like look at a list or really, really think about it, like what's the other cat? The cat from the UK. What was his name? His son
Junior
fight.
Witter.
No, not Junior Witter. He's black. He's not from the UK. I thought Junior Witter was from America. Nah, but the guy I'm talking about, his son Costa-Zoo.
Junior Witter from the UK.
That guy's Australian.
Right. I wanted to see let's see what's the other guy? I can't think his name right now. But like, I just gave you like 5 fighters, and that's just off the top of my head. But like, if I saw a list of, like, do you realize how like flooded from 135 to 154 was? Like, there were tons of fighters.
I wanted to see him fight Thurman.
Right. Right. That's another thing. Like, how do y'all rate Manny? Do y'all like, in other words, okay, Manny beat Thurman, right? That's a fighter we wanted to see Floyd fight. But if Manny managed to beat Errol Spence or Bud Crawford, like, would y'all say that overall Manny's got a better like career than Floyd?
I think he already there already anyway.
If Manny beats Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford, I have to have that discussion then.
I do think he's already probably have a more accomplished and more decorated career than Floyd.
Right, but he's still not better than Floyd. That's what I feel.
He's not better as he lost to him and isn't necessarily as proficient as a fighter, but his career in totality is greater. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, so that's what I was asking. Like, because there's no question who's a better fighter, but accomplishment wise.
Oh, there's definitely a question. Don't ever say there's not a question. There's always a question.
But they fought, bro. Like,
a question of what? Who's a better fighter between?
I mean, Floyd beat him, bro. I mean,
okay.
So we gonna.
Oh wait, you don't think Floyd beat Manny?
I don't really think either guy won that fight.
That fight was so fucking.
It was a boring. It was a boring fight. I can't lie.
Fuck, dog. So like, it's almost like when a girl say.
I thought they both lost.
It's almost like, check this out. And I'm gonna hop off. I'm gonna hop off for a minute because I just want to check this. Listen, if a girl tell you, "Oh, dog, you can't fuck. You ain't gonna be able to make me come," you be like, "Yeah, shit, I can." And then the whole time, all she do is make sure you don't ever get a chance to fuck her. And she say that you didn't make her come. Obviously, she won the fucking argument. And the whole thing is, that whole fucking 12 rounds, there was never a fucking fight. So you can't tell me the nigga won the fucking. It was a fucking 12 rounds of no fucking fighting. You know what I'm saying? So for a nigga to argue that one dude won the fight, okay, technically he got his hand raised, right? But when you get a fucking post-fight, when you get a post-fight interview and the motherfucker like, damn, the nigga barely hit me. How the fuck did I lose the fight? That's what the nigga said. And I was thinking the same thing, bro. Nothing fucking happened. You could have went
so in your mind, hold on, in your mind, who better though?
Hey, in black and white, Floyd Mayweather won the fight, right? So I'm not gonna argue who won the fight in black and white. But my thing is this. When I'm looking at the fight, and Floyd Mayweather Sr. is right there in his son corner, and he's saying that, man, you scared of this man. He said, you up here fighting scared. His father said that in multiple rounds. You're fighting scared. Floyd, you got to go get him. You're fighting scared. See, my thing is this. Boxing lost on that day because the fight was so hyped up. It did not live up to the billing. So I thought boxing lost that day. That's what I thought lost that day. I thought boxing as a whole lost that day because that should have been a better performance by both parties. It takes two to tango. You know what I'm saying?
So hold on. So who hold responsible? Hold on. So whose fault is it? Whose fault is it that the performance like it is?
No, I just said it take two to tango.
Hey, B-talk. No. If you want to fuck a girl and she don't want to fuck you, whose fault that y'all didn't fuck?
Okay, I mean, I understand
what you're saying, answer the question. If you want to fuck a girl, she don't want to fuck you, whose fault that y'all didn't fuck?
She responsible for allowing you to fuck her now, bro.
It's her fault. I know where Rollo going with this because Rollo, you know I know where you going with this because we have.
So you gonna call Floyd the girl in this situation?
Rollo thing is like this. Rollo is like this with Mayweather. Mayweather can make the fight look like he don't want to fight. I understand Rollo. I know Rollo.
You already know, dog. You already know.
I caught it too. I
already know.
So in other words, so you're saying Manny wanted to fight and Floyd didn't. That's what you're saying.
Listen, the thing is, one dude is known for having slightly boring, kind of shitty type fights. You know what I'm saying? And when those types of fights happen, for some reason, because that is happening in a fight, then he's automatically winning. Because that's the type of fight that's going on, then he's automatically winning. Because the other dude wants to fight, and because there's not a fight going on, he must be losing. That's how some people judge fights. I'm not that guy.
All right.
But getting back to like the subject of the video, I think I forget who it was who said that Holyfield shouldn't be on the list. I think that's a very
same dude with the Floyd. The same dude who thought Floyd was
the thing. Yeah, I think that's a function of when did you start watching boxing? Because I think if a newer fan is watching this video, they're going to say Floyd, Hopkins, and then Holyfield, just because they're less familiar with Holyfield and his fights from back in the day. They've, probably started in the Mayweather era, and then, they saw Hopkins on the side also during that same time doing what he was doing. So it all depends on perspective, what the criteria is. If you're going by, competition, resume, who you like the most. If I was going by who I like the most, it would be Holyfield, Hopkins, and then Mayweather. But if I'm going by who was more recently like the most relevant guy in boxing, I'd go Mayweather, Hopkins, Holyfield. So
in other words, people what they know for the most part.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, because I've been watching boxing. The first boxing match I can remember watching is the now I wasn't I didn't know nothing about boxing. I was only like 6. It was the Hearns and Leonard fight because my uncles they were arguing.
Me too. My
brother. Fight. So that
was,
and I remember having a smoke filled room and they had beer. They had 40 ounces all over the place and they was arguing about who gonna win. And half of them wanted Hagler to win and Sugar Ray Leonard. I remember when the fight was over, they almost about to fight themselves because they said no, Sugar Ray Leonard did not win the fight. He just pretty boyed his way through the fight. But the first fight that I can remember that I really seen, that I can really say I was watching boxing is probably somewhere around when Tyson lost to Buster Douglas. I was like 14. Yep. Tyson lost to Buster Douglas. Yep. But I seen other fights before that. But that's the fight I can really say I really looked all the way through.
You was a boxing fan then. Exactly.
Right. I got so that that was the fight that like lit the fire under you almost, right?
Yeah. Well, Tyson, because back in the day when ESPN first started, Tyson was fighting and they had all his highlights on ESPN of all the knockouts, the first round, second round, third round knockouts he had. So Tyson was like this big old thing. Like when Tyson lost to Buster Douglas, people in my family, they were stunned for about 6 months. Like really, we were stunned. I really thought nobody can beat Mike Tyson, man. Because I remember playing Mike Tyson Punch Out on how hard it was to beat him on Mike Tyson Punch Out. I'm serious, man. I thought.
See, that's another thing. Mike had that invincible thing about him, bro. Like, that's how you know that people really loved him because even after that shell was cracked and he wasn't invincible anymore, people still rocked with him. You know what I'm saying?
And even when he lost, and people were saying, "Well, once the invincibility is gone, you can never get it back." I didn't understand what they was talking about then. I understand now. Once the intimidator fails to intimidate, then he becomes intimidated. that's what happened.
Oh, people are still rocking with Tyson right now.
Hey, bro, when he got knocked out by Holyfield, the next fight did more pay-per-views than the first fight.
Right. I remember that shit. They had like they have like security all in the ring and shit. Or was that the Lennox Lewis fight? Remember they had like a whole.
That was Lennox Lewis.
Oh, that was like a wall of what, like
because
Nation Islam,
Tyson had bit Lewis's leg in the press conference, so they had a wall of dudes, and they had to have the fight in like some weird location because no other place would sanction it. I think it was in like Tennessee or something.
Yeah, that was another thing though. Mike, he was an entertainer, bro. So even if he, might have fell short versus the Holyfields and the Lennox Lewises of the world, and he never fought Bo and shit like that, or the Ray Mercers, or even with that, like he was just like to me kind of epitomized like the whole heavyweight. Like when you're the heavyweight champ, there's just certain things that come along with it. But Mike was a monster, bro. Like he was very talented. And I don't know if y'all have ever seen him like in person before, but I couldn't say he's no more than about 5'9" or 5'10".
I tell everyone the same thing.
That dude's sharp, bro. Like he's sharp, bro.
They used to list him as 6'1" at certain points in his career, but he is nowhere near that.
That's a sharp dude. Like he's sharp, bro. Like he's sharp, man.
What y'all think about the? It's a couple of people that's on here. What do y'all think about the Terrence Crawford Spence situation?
Yeah, I don't know how that's so bad.
I've already said a million times what I think of it, so
I
I'll let
mean,
someone else go.
yeah, that's what I was gonna let like, cause I mean, the people that know me, they know by now. Like I fuck with, like I think Bud beat Spence, but you know, like when you ask that question, what do you mean, bro? You mean like the reason why they're not fighting you? You talking about that part? Or are you talking about who wins, like in the
Yeah,
ring?
yeah, yeah,
Like what
yeah, yeah. The reason why
in the ring?
they not getting in the ring. Yeah,
Oh,
the reason why they not fighting, man. What's the problem?
I thought you want. Oh, I thought you were talking about the ring. Oh, I want to get into the fight, but outside of the ring.
And who you think gonna win? And what's your breakdown?
I just think that Bud superiorly. Me, it seems like Bud, since he's got the 147. I mean, his powers even increased even more. I feel like, like to me, he epitomizes like a slick fighter. That's like an American. When you think about an American, prototypical American fighter, you're talking about like a slick fighter with punching power, right? His hands seem to be holding up fine. So like he sits on this, like he pretty much passed the whole checklist. Accomplishments, check, right? Pound for pound status, check. I mean, I just ducking them for a reason, but as far as like inside the ring, I just felt like the advantage that Errol Spence had over Crawford are his like it's his dimensions, height and size. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I on the flat footed side, he's a little flat footed. I feel like a lot of people just think that he's gonna walk down. He'll walk down Bud because I know Bud's a lightweight or whatever. He's a career lightweight, but I don't see it like that. And even worst case scenario, if Bud can't handle his power and size, Bud can always revert back to his boxing style when he fought. When he fought Victor Postal, right? Just movement and still, if a guy, if he catches up to you and walk you down, sit on your punches, hit him hard. I mean, his son Victor Postal running on the other side of the ring every time you hit him. So, but and the only reason why I feel like Bud changed the style up is because he was ridiculed, because that was a pay-per-view fight and he was boxing Victor Postal instead of trying to knock him out. So, since then he seemed to change his boxing style up. But I mean, once you're a slick boxer, like you're always a slick, like he can always revert back to that if he has to. That's something that other fighters don't have in their toolbox. Like I feel like Errol Spence don't have that. I think he's a straight come forward fighter. He's a volume puncher. He's bigger, stronger than everybody else. He rehydrates bigger than everybody else. So those are his advantages. I don't really think it's so much like athletic ability or like super skill. It's not me hating on Errol because I feel like, look, that's not a bad thing. When you bigger than everybody, taller than everybody, and you're technically skilled the way Errol is, and you got power. I mean, look, man, that's good. But I just don't see him beating like we've seen in a million times, big, strong fighter versus a slick fighter, and this slick fighter happens to have power. I just, it is what it is. That's how I feel like the fight would. I think he might even stop Errol in the late rounds. Right, because I think it's personal for Bud, right? So I don't think it's personal for Spence. So I think it's more about the money and positioning himself right to be, quote unquote, the big fish. But when it comes to Bud Crawford, he seemed to have a different type of energy, And if you're the A side, I mean, make a fight offer. I don't mean like an interview when somebody asks you about Bud and you say, oh well, 60-40. Oh, I feel like the fight could happen. Or if the fight happens, it'd probably be a situation where it's 60-40 my way. I mean, that's not to me. That's not a fight offer. Just because somebody asked you about Bud and you said that, you gave that answer reluctantly. You gave that answer. Like that's not a call out, nigga. Like that ain't a call out. I don't really think he want to fight him. I think he'll fight him at the very end when he's exhausted every other option. Then he'll fight Bud Crawford. That's what I think. And I think it is. I think PBC is gonna try to make as much money as they can off him, and then they'll sacrifice him if need be or whatever. Otherwise, they're not gonna take that risk. They're not gonna make that risk. I just think this is excuses. Right now, we're in a pandemic, so that's an excuse he could rock with. Before that, it was the accident. He could rock with that excuse. Before that, it was. I mean, there's been about what 5 or 6 excuses, man. Just I mean, we boxing, man. Like true boxing fans know if 2 fighters want to fight, they'll fight.
My question is always for any boxing fan that's involved in the politics. how come somehow, some way, it's always that under Al Heyman fighter who's always involved in the why these guys ain't fighting situation? When it's any other two fighters, somehow, some way, they always end up fighting. But when there's an Al Heyman involved fighter, there's always the, well, this guy is the reason they ain't fight. Well, no, this guy's the reason they ain't fight. So we all know all the shit we went through from 2009 to 2015. Then we went through the whole shit with fucking Gary Russell and Lomachenko when they finally fought, right? Everybody like, oh shit, okay, maybe this is, its own now. And then all of a sudden,
Did someone cut out?
Yo, what happened? I don't hear anybody. Yo,
Yeah.
oh,
I think you cut
I hear
out.
you. Yeah, I think your brother might cut out, man. Yo, you still there, dude? Yo, Wayne, you still there, man? Yo, this feel like Call of Duty Warzone, like, and I feel like I'm the last, like I'm like the only one at the fucking match. Everybody already left and shit. Like, yo.
Well, at least I'm here.
All right, so I got a question for you since you're here, man. Like, what advantages do you think that Errol Spence have over Bud Crawford?
I think body work, and I think he'll have the advantage in the center of the ring. I think he'll have the advantage actually if he's going backwards and Crawford's coming forwards. I think that's where Crawford is more susceptible to making his mistakes, and I feel like that's where Spence is a little bit less, is putting himself a little bit less at risk. Even though his back foot game may not be as good as Crawford's back foot game, I still feel like it's good enough. Those are the advantage I generally think that Spence would have.
Now, now, would you feel like that's enough to win the fight? I mean, I don't mean like puncher's chance, but I mean like what you just explained.
Yes, I do think that if he executes it properly, and certainly if it's dependent on Crawford making some of the similar mistakes he's made in his previous few fights, I think it can be enough to win the fight. Crawford does have issues, especially when he's closing down the pocket and coming forward, typically out of the orthodox stance. He tends to set his feet prematurely. He also becomes a bit flat-footed when he's coming forward. He keeps his chin a bit too high, and he brings all of his shots from the waist area, and he loops them. Spence's step-back left-hand counter and his ability to immediately close distance instead of what Crawford's opponents typically do, which is break range, that's going to be an issue for Crawford. No doubt about it for me.
Right. Now, another thing, do you think that if, because Errol Spence seems to have a chin, right? So if Errol Spence can handle Bud Crawford's power, right, would you say that most likely he'll walk Bud Crawford down? In other words, Bud, if he can handle Bud's power, he's probably going to try to walk him down. So do you think that he could stop Bud Crawford, or do you think that most likely that the fight will go 12 rounds?
I think it's going to go 12 rounds. I mean, I think both guys are going to be able to handle their power, but let's say, for example, Spence just doesn't respect Crawford's power whatsoever. What Crawford's landing isn't doing enough to him. That's a nightmare for Crawford for me. But I think both guys have enough pop to be able to get each other's respect, but I don't think either guy is getting stopped. I think both guys are durable enough, intelligent enough to be able to take it to 12. I think if there's a stoppage, it's most likely coming. I don't really know.
Do you think that, in your personal opinion, do you think that Bud Crawford could, you think his chin will hold up to Errol Spence? He's going to get hit, so.
Yeah, I think it probably should. I think Spence he's one of those guys, not necessarily saying he's like Margarito, but in a similar way to Margarito, he gets stronger as fights go on. So the more the body punches start to take effect, the more debilitating his shots become, since he's taken quite a bit out of his opponent's gas tank.
Right. So I saw you just mentioned something about endurance, and you said that he gets stronger as the fight goes on. Would you say that Bud Crawford also gets stronger as the fight goes on?
He tends to. I think Crawford usually comes on around the middle rounds. It around the later rounds, sometimes he'll coast, although that's typically early on in previous fights. But sometimes he will coast in the later rounds, but usually he'll maintain the same pace he does, around the middle rounds. He does get off to a slow start. That's one thing I will say. Both guys aren't particularly quick starters, but that's mainly because Spence is busy using decoys in the early rounds. I think Spence will probably have the upper hand in the early rounds should they both stick to their natural tendencies. I think the middle rounds are typically where Crawford is most dangerous.
All right. Well, don't forget he did Benavidez in the 12th round, so his power carried all the way to the fight. But that is a very good point. So between both fighters, Errol Spence and Bud Crawford, who would you say has more stamina? Who has the stamina advantage?
I honestly don't know.
Right.
I've never really seen either guy very gassed.
Yeah, that's a fact. So, okay, now let's go towards the stats or whatever. In the last fight when Bud fought Kell Brook, and also in the fight before that, the previous fight when he fought Kavalauskas, in both of those fights, they were asked. The announcer spoke about punches landed and the percentage. For the most part, Bud Crawford is probably the most elusive fighter, even though it might not seem like it. But his opponents don't land any punches on him. As compared to the other welterweights, he's supposedly number one, right? But that's an ESPN stat, so I don't know. But in his last two fights, his most recent fights, both Kell Brook and Kavalauskas, they both landed the most punches versus Bud Crawford than anyone else. Why would you say that? Would you say it's because Bud might have changed the style up at 147? Well, not change the style up because these are the stats from 147. Supposedly, he's the most elusive. So, what would you say is with that said, do you think his next fight? So, if he fights Spence or whenever they fight, do you feel like Spence would have a hard time, finding him, landing shots?
It's an interesting question. I think that the reason why Kell Brook and Kavalauskas landed on him is because, kind of as I stated earlier, they made Crawford come to him. Kavalauskas was not necessarily pressing the issue, applying pressure and trying to push Crawford against the ropes. He was looking to gain lead hand control from the center of the ring and catch and shoot and pick Crawford off as Crawford tries to step in up close. Kell Brook was looking to time him off of his jab and keep the fight at a slow pace, so that Crawford couldn't sustain any type of attack close up, which meant Crawford kind of had to force the issue, meaning both guys were able to capitalize off some of the mistakes Crawford was able to make. I think both guys are going to land on each other, Crawford and Spence.
Yeah, I think that's true. But crazy part is if you go look up if you look at the stats, or at least if you go by what the announcers say, when the fights, when these guys are fighting during the fight, they talk about the stats and who landed. This guy gets, he's elusive or he doesn't have that many punches landed against him, blah, blah, blah. But Errol Spence and Bud Crawford, they're at the top as far as statistics go. So if you're a statistics guy, if you're a stats guy, they check off that checklist too. But one thing that I also want to ask you about, as far as punch output and activity, it's clear as day, at least to me. As far as the fighters that matter at 147, Errol Spence is more active than the rest of them in the ring. He throws more punches than pretty much anyone else at 147.
Sean Porter?
At least the fighters that matter. So, okay, and Sean as well. So how do you feel about when it comes to that activity? Because Errol Spence throws he threw over 1,000 punches in a fight, and so what do you think about that? Do you think that because Bud Crawford's a great counter puncher, do you feel like that'll work to Bud Crawford's advantage, or you feel like do you think that Errol Spence might drown him with just all those punches, all that activity?
It depends on how Spence uses his pressure. If he decides to come in recklessly, trying to bully him around like he kind of did against Brook, that's going to work against him. That's going to give Crawford more opportunities to land. The right hook over to the temple is going to be an effective shot for him in that case. But if he's using it, sort of combining it mid-range inside, but also using it outside, meaning the sort of maintaining the sort of busy southpaw jab he was using against Danny, that could work better to his advantage because then that could set up his power shots more effectively. Now, let me just say, I'm not necessarily much of an analytics guy. I think that punch stats can be useful, but there's just a difference in styles. The effectiveness of people's styles and how people use their particular styles isn't necessarily predicated around punch stats, and sometimes they could be manipulated based on how certain fighters fight. Like, as far as defensive,
and also because punch stats, I mean, cut you off, but if punch stats go, like it's not like it's an official punch. What makes it an official punch is just the judges who saw it, right? So like they may have called it a landed punch, or they may miss a landed punch. So it's all pretty much. I was just bringing up the stats.
It really comes down to this: can he land enough times flush on Crawford? Can he land enough? Because he's gonna touch Crawford. He's gonna touch him. Can he land enough flush, meaningful shots on Crawford based on the numbers that you're talking about? But I understand what
he might overwhelm him though, Wayne. That's what I was saying, because that's what he do. He overwhelm his opponents. That's what he do, bro.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. Look, because I spar with a lot of different styles of people that fight, people that come forward, people that box, you know what I'm saying, people that are kind of slick, elusive. The most guys I love fighting are guys that come at me. You know why? Because now you got my attention, my eyes are wide open. I can see everything that's coming. Now it's up to me to use the right punches at the right time. But I don't have to come find you, because one thing about a guy that likes to box, they don't like to fight other boxers because you have to find that person. You rather a person pressure you. And I know it may sound to some people that haven't fought before, it may sound crazy, like, man, why would you want somebody? Because you can see
they need that though. I know what you're saying. Like they need that. Like that's just their boxing style. In other words, that's what a counter puncher want. They want you to come to. They come
at them. And another thing, Kenny Porter, which I have already said even before the Kenny Porter Sean Porter fight, Kenny Porter had a great game plan for Sean Porter. If you was listening to the instructions he gave Sean Porter in the ring, in the corner, he kept telling Sean Porter, give up the body shot because we want to counter him upstairs. That's what you do to a volume body puncher. You counter him upstairs to make him keep his hands at home. Eventually, if you start hitting him with something hard upstairs, he's not going to go to your body at volume like Earl Spence likes to do once you start countering him upstairs. That's why you give him the body. You give him the body so you can get the face. You get the face upstairs. He gets the body. But another thing too. If you
that's what Canelo did, Triple G, Wayne. Remember?
Pernell Whitaker versus Chavez Senior fight, the fight that they had, he was doing the same thing because Chavez likes to go to your body. And then another thing Pernell Whitaker did was he didn't stay on the ropes. He never let himself get caught on the ropes for a long period of time. He kept the fight in the center of the ring. That's what you do with a volume body puncher. You keep the fight in the center of the ring because now you can move at different angles when he's trying to go to your body at volume. What you want to be, if you're a body puncher, you want to be a body placement puncher. Not so much volume. You want to be able to place your body shots. Crawford is a good guy. He goes to the body just as well as Earl Spence. A lot of people say no, he doesn't, because he don't throw a lot. You don't have to throw a lot. You just
Bud beast of a body puncher. Right, yeah, right.
Yeah, I know. Bud
he just don't throw as many punches. He just don't throw as many punches to the body as Spence. Spence is a volume puncher, bro. Like I think he threw like over 1,000 punches versus Mikey and versus Sean Porter. Like that's a lot of punches, bro.
Y'all, great conversation. I hate to have to shut it down because I got to get something to eat, feed the kids, and all this stuff. But man, hey, come back. I like to just bring up topics. I like to talk about older fighters as well as the newer fighters. It's just not a lot of fights happening right now, so I have to go back to the old stuff. I like talking about old boxing, and I like to talk about everything. All types of sports. But I know some of these guys on here just like to talk about boxing. But yeah, I have another.
Yo, Wayne, you know what else I appreciated about this, bro? Is like the fact that y'all talk, like we didn't talk not one time about money, bro, about 60-40 and all that shit. We talked about the actual fight. Who's the bigger puncher between Spence and Crawford? We talked about the Holyfield shit, the Mayweather Hopkins. Like that, like that's what I'm talking about. We're not talking about money, bro, like 60-40 and shit.
I talk about it a little bit, but I don't get myself. I don't make thousands of videos about that. I just can't do
Right.
that because let the fighters iron out and let their representatives iron out the money part. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, a serious negotiation is not made in the public, man. Let's just be honest. A serious negotiation is made behind closed doors. Period. Point blank. You know what I'm saying? When a guy start throwing out numbers and 60-40 out in the public, it's because he's trying to get the public on his side. That's all he's trying to do. You know what I'm saying? And then we as supporters and fans, then we make videos going at each other about somebody else's money, which you're not gonna get a piece of. So come on, man. Like just let's talk
that's
about
crazy. And you know what? And they be beefing hard over that shit too, bro.
I know.
Over like disrespecting each other over 60. You know, like it's fun to talk about it. You know, to support your favorite fighter, but when it gets to that point, like you cursing somebody out and calling them, "Oh fuck you," blah blah blah. Yeah, over what, bro? Over 40% that you're not even gonna get the touch. Like,
do you have a YouTube channel? Do you have a YouTube channel, or you just?
Yeah, well, I do. Like, I don't upload videos anymore. I used to, man. I used to like blood boxing on me. Like I came from that era, like from back in like '09 or whatever, you know. But I mean, I know my shit, but I ain't on y'all level. But I'll be real with you.
No. I'm not on no level. You know just as much as I know. I'm not on no level. I'm not up here. No, I just
talking about like a historian though, Wayne. That's what I mean. I'm not a historian like y'all.
I'm not a historian. I just know I know I forgot a lot about, you know what I'm saying, boxing, but I still know some things. I can get freshened up on a lot of things. I'm not a historian, but Blood is a historian. You know what I'm saying? People like him, people like Boxing Beats and Rhymes, those guys are historians. I'm not a historian. I know a lot, but boxing was not my favorite sport growing up. It was football and basketball. But, you know, my uncle started getting me into boxing. I remember when Tito Trinidad first hit the scene and he was telling me, man, this is the guy that's gonna run boxing at the 147. I was like, okay. So I used to look at a lot of Tito Trinidad fights with him, and Pernell Whitaker at that point was my favorite fighter. That's why I used to hate De La Hoya, because I thought he got cheated. I thought Pernell Whitaker got cheated. Now, when I look at the fight, because I got a trained eye now, you know what I'm saying? Because I've been through.
You talking about the Oscar fight, or are you talking about the Chavez Senior? Which one? When Pernell fought?
I'm talking about Oscar versus Whitaker. I'm talking about that fight.
Oscar, yeah, that was a robbery.
He got cheated out of both fights, but look. Okay, I'm not gonna say he got cheated at an Oscar fight, because now when I look at the fight, I look at the fight for the trained eye. I still thought Whitaker probably won the fight, but it wasn't a robbery like I thought when I was younger. Because when I was younger, I didn't know what I was looking at. I was just looking at my favorite fighter, and I just thought he won. You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't seen no damage on him or nothing like that. I seen him drop Oscar. I was like, man, he won the fight. But looking at it now, I looked at it 5 years ago and I say, okay, he didn't get robbed. I thought he still won, but he didn't get robbed, because when you look at stuff with a trained eye, it's different. It's much different. You know what I'm saying? I can look at, I know how to score fights, and I can look at it and say, oh, okay, he didn't get robbed. Now, every time I look at the Pernell Whitaker Chavez Senior fight, he got robbed. Every time I look at it, that was a robbery. Even Chavez.
But what about De La Hoya Trinidad? What about that one?
I thought De La Hoya got robbed. I thought De La Hoya gave that man a boxing lesson, man.
You don't think he ran the whole second half?
No. Okay, look. Okay, now let's. I'm gonna have a 5 to 10 minute discussion on you about running. Now, this is my thing about when a person say no, because I understand ring generalship. When a person say another fighter is running, this is what I constitute as running. Is when your back hits the ropes too many times, that's running. When you circling your opponent, that's not running. That's just giving your opponent angles. That is not running at all. De La Hoya understood what he was dealing with when he was dealing with Trinidad. This guy got power in both hands. You have to realize that De La Hoya came from 130. Trinidad, most of his career was at welterweight. He had a couple fights at 142, 143, somewhere up in there. You know, when fighters
he was out of his element, though. Yeah.
So Trinidad was a big welterweight. He was really a big welterweight. That's what Trinidad was. And
but he wasn't middleweight either, because when he went to middleweight, he was
but you could say he was a 154.
He was a big welterweight. He was a 154 guy. Yeah. He was
a 154 fighter fighting at welterweight. But because Trinidad is bigger than Earl Spence, and people call Earl Spence a big welterweight, but Trinidad is bigger than him. But
Trinidad was bottom heavy, but he had a bird chest, he
had a bird chest. But he was really strong. strong.
Yeah,
But
Trinidad had height. He was like 5'9", 5'10", but 5'11" maybe. But he had a strong base. He had the big. Yeah, he had the big legs and whatever. But he had the bird, like he was small up top. That's why I say when he went to middleweight, that shit wasn't gonna rock up there. When he went to
no,
160, and
not
then he
fighting, not
followed up.
fighting Hopkins, not fighting Bernard. I knew he was
Then
going to get. I
he,
picked him to lose versus Bernard Hopkins. A lot of people say, "No, man, you crazy. No, he gonna lose to Bernard Hopkins, y'all. Bernard Hopkins is too physical. First of all, Bernard
too
Hopkins.
dirty is what he mean, bro. He had butted Trinidad about 20 times.
Okay, well, Bernard Hopkins, it's a fight.
Yeah,
Now, this is what my trainer used to always tell me: when you in a ring, it's a fight. They call it professional boxing, but it's a fight. And don't ever forget, it's not a fight. And if you fighting on the streets and you know anything can happen out there, just about anything can happen in the boxing ring. So mentally, he was trying to get me prepared to like, look, people can headbutt you, people can do this, they can thumb you in the eye, they can do all this stuff, and you got to be able to mentally get ready to deal with that stuff if it happens. And when they can hit you in the nuts, all this stuff can happen. They can hit you behind the head. If a person hits you behind the head, hit him behind the head. They hit you in the nuts, hit him in the nuts to make the referee do his job.
That's right. That's right. That was my issue with the whole Wilder Fury rematch when they fought. It seemed like Wilder didn't want to get dirty with Fury while Fury was getting dirty with him. Like you gotta like Fury would put him in a headlock and squeeze on his head, and Wilder he'll put his hands out and just don't do nothing. And I'm like, well, that's not gonna work, bro. Like you're not even putting them to resistance. You know what I'm saying? So that was my problem with the fight. One guy got dirty, the other guy didn't. But my bad.
Are you? Did you join my channel? I mean, did you come on here because I messaged you in Messenger, or did you just see it?
Nah, I was already. I subbed on your channel after I saw you on one of Blood Boxing streams like a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
So and then from there,
because I usually do a stream. I usually do a stream every day, but I'm gonna go ahead and get my kids together, feed my kids. But yeah, man, thanks for coming through, man.
All right,
what's your name again? What's
your name? Oh man, Black Seas, bro. Black Seas, bro.
Okay, Black Seas. Keep looking, man.
Right, yes, sir. Peace.